Hello, folks, and welcome back here to Ryan's Real Irish podcast of season 2, Living the Dream. And of course, that's what it's all about, is living the dream. And I'll tell you one thing, folks, I was over in Mallorca last week, and that's why I wasn't around. And I'll tell you one thing, the sunshine was perfect, and I was living a dream, sitting there with a nice Jack Daniels and Coke by the beach. But look, we're back into business now, back into the swing of things, and I'm delighted to announce this next guest. I was going through Instagram one night, and obviously you see a lot of different musicians coming up and singers and the whole lot, but this woman stood out with her amazing voice at a wedding and things like that there on her Instagram, the whole lot. This girl is the whole way from Galway. You can call her the Galway girl if you want. It's the one, it's the only Miss Rachel Goode. Good evening, Rachel. How are we doing?
Hello, I'm great, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on.
You're very welcome, Rachel. You're very welcome now. Rachel, as I was saying, obviously, yeah, you're a big pop star. So yeah, you're a big pop star, and you're starting to get more known each time around and stuff like that. You play at weddings, the whole lot, and obviously you've hit singles out at the minute as well on all the YouTube, Spotify, the whole shebang. What kind of started you? Say you're sitting at home one day or wherever you were one day and turned around and said, "Well, look, music's kind of in the blood. This is what I want to go into a career of music, basically."
Yeah, so as in when did I kind of think that? Is that what you're asking
Yeah.
me?
So basically, when did you decide that, well, music's the career for me?
So I grew up always like loved to sing. I loved being the center of attention as a child. Like I loved being kind of the I suppose the performing child. I was always singing. I was always dancing. I just always loved music. And it's funny, like my mom tells this story of when I was only like 1 year old, and I used to get up in the morning, go downstairs by myself, and put in the at the time it was videos. There was no DVDs or anything like that. It was all videos, with the actual VCR,
Of
and used to
course.
put them in. And my mum would come down in the morning, and they're singing like to this video, and it was always musical videos. She said I just loved to sing, and
Yeah,
I suppose I always got. I started getting solos then in kind of like school plays, and in I used to sing in my church as well, and that's kind of it started to go from there. Like my mum and dad, I suppose, you heard me sing solo in church, and they were like, "Oh my God, she actually has a nice little voice," And I was only very young at this time, and then I suppose I went on through life as everyone does. I went to school, I did my junior cert, I did my leaving cert, and when it came around to leaving cert, I was kind of like, right, I know I want to be a singer, but um, I don't really know how to go about it, because when you're young, being a singer, you look at people that are like famous, like the Spice
of
Girls,
course.
Shania Twain, and the Bee Gees. They were the kind of things I used to listen to, all country music as well, and that seems like unreachable. When you actually get into like your teens, you start to realize, okay, being famous is like way up there, and I'm like way down here. So I wanted to have a career in music, but I was like, I need to be realistic and try and figure out how I can have a career in music. So finished my leaving cert, and I wanted, if I wasn't going to be a singer, I wanted to be a teacher. But I had no Irish, so I decided to go and do a music degree. So I went and I did a music degree in Dublin, and it was a classical based music degree. So I was being classically trained at the time and going through like voice grades and stuff like that. Um, so I did that. Then when I finished that, I kind of said, right, what am I going to do here now? Because I was kind of being pushed in the direction of opera.
Yeah,
So I didn't really know, did I want to be in an opera? Like, did I want to be an opera singer? I wasn't really sure because I had never been in an actual opera production. So
yeah, of
I was
course.
like, oh, I'm not really sure. And at the time, I was doing the opera or the like classical degree, and I was also gigging on the side. So I was doing like country social dancing and gigging in pubs, doing weddings, all that kind of thing. So I was singing such a massive kind of array of music. Um, But anyways, I decided to go off and I went to Wales and I did a master's in performance over there. So I
Yeah,
kind of immersed myself into acting. So I was doing acting classes, we were doing dance classes. I was on the stage a lot, but I was actually doing shows, like I was playing
yeah,
characters. And it was amazing. And I actually came back from Wales a much better person, like a much better performer, and a much better singer. And I feel like that kept me open then to. I just felt more confident in my performing, and yeah, that's kind of where I was at. And I kind of moved home just before lockdown, kind of, yeah. So that's kind of my, I suppose, not my career. I mean, I haven't really spoke about what I've done as such, but that's kind of what I did studying wise.
yeah. I appreciate that. Well, that was one of my second questions due to my research, but you answered it. You answered, so it still counts. I was obviously going to ask you about going on to get your master's degree in music and things like that there, because it can be a tricky kind of, as I turn and said, people look at singers and it's a gift. It is a gift to have a voice like singers like yourself, Nat. It is a gift to have because not many people have it now. When I'm
Absolutely.
singing, I'd be there bopping to Nathan Carter, blaring out Wagon Wheel in the room, and all you hear is the mother roar down, will you shut up, would you? Just let Nathan sing the song, you just be quiet. But as I turn around and said, the singing's not for everybody and things like that there. And when you're over doing the bit of the music and stuff like that over in Wales, uh, why was that? Did you find like coming into the leaving certain stuff obviously can be a tricky time alone because it's such a big next step in young people's lives of, well, oh God, no more school, where do I go from here, how do I make money? What was kind of, was there enough in Ireland to kind of support you and back your dreams up, or do you think that there could have been a bit more, like say organisations that in Ireland at the time that you wouldn't have had to went to it, have to basically leave across the waters and go to Wales?
Yeah. Um, I suppose the reason I went to Wales to do that particular course was because they were working alongside really massive names in the industry. So
Of
I was
course.
going to get more opportunities there and work with really high up people. So that's kind of why I chose to go there. So I suppose the master's level in Ireland, in if you want to go into the, I suppose, musical theatre or opera performance type of route, you're probably better to go away. So yeah, the
Yeah,
opportunities for that probably weren't as good in Ireland. I also found as well, like when I was in school, as you were saying there, like being a singer, like it is a gift, and I do
yeah, of
believe that
course.
I was given a gift, and I want to share that with the world. It's all I want to do. I love singing for people. I love it, and I love performing. But I found that when I was in school, when you go to your career guidance teacher or whatever, or you're sitting, I don't know, talking about what you're going to do after school,
Of course,
when you
yeah,
say you want to be a singer, they're kind of like, right, that's not really a job. So you need to, think of something else. But like, I really believe that people shouldn't be pushed out of wanting to go into the arts. Like being a musician is just as good of a job or just as valuable, to someone as being, I don't know, a teacher or a guard or a nurse. It's a
yeah,
completely different thing, but everyone, like they say, everyone learns differently, everyone's brain works differently. And like people, I sometimes people are just better at arts and making things and stuff like that rather than actually sitting with a laptop doing lots of academic things, and I feel
yeah.
like there should be more emphasis on that. And I think it is coming, though. It is coming. There is more emphasis now on practical side of things in school and stuff, which I think is great, because it would be a shame to kind of tell people that musicians aren't, it's not a proper job when it is.
Of course, and I can totally back you up there with guidance counselors and stuff like that. Of people going, dad and baby, maybe not saying like going for the 9 to 5 job, you know what I mean, working in an office and stuff like that there, an accountant and things like that. If you say, well, I want to go be an actor, I want to be a singer or whatever, you're kind of like, well, they're trying to persuade you other ways to change your mind. But at the end of the day, as I always say to people, and I'm a as you are and myself, we're walking proofs that of following our dream and things like that there, of the achievements you can make once you work hard to follow your dreams, and like not letting people basically
Absolutely.
change your mind from your career you want to do. Because some people maybe like,
Yeah.
right, it might be all right for some people to sit behind a computer, be deal with big numbers and stuff like that, but other people are rather, as myself, I rather present, I rather interview and stuff like that. And I know I'm still sitting behind a computer, but still, we're not dealing with big digits and stuff like that. But no, I can see where you're
Yeah.
coming from, and as you also said, it is coming. I've that feeling too that it is going to start getting more introduced into the school curricular, especially secondary schools and stuff like that, because it kind of, I think if it was
Yeah.
introduced, then it'd be more respected. It'd be more kind of young people that have the gift would be more willing to come forward and share the gift instead of keeping it into themselves, because maybe being shy and stuff, because it is hard. And that's leads me on to your next question. Obviously you played a few gigs and things like that there around the place. You have sung alongside Mike Denver in the TG car, the Euro song, which I
Mm-hmm.
watched, and that was the first time we actually seen you on TV. I'm a huge fan of Mike Denver and things like that there. And what's it like, the feeling of being up on stage with cameras watching you, the lights on you, and band behind you just playing instruments, and you just there with a mic, and all these eyes looking at you in one room, and them waiting for you to put on a performance? What's that feeling like?
Um, I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for anyone else, only myself, obviously, but
Of course.
I love it. I love that. Some people find it hard to sing to cameras. They prefer like an audience there, and I understand that, because when like the cameras, like there's one that's there and it's kind of going to the side, and there's one that swoops down and kind of comes around, and you have to play to the cameras, and the light goes red. Whichever camera's on at that moment, it goes red. So I was always trying to follow the cameras, because I feel like you have to sing into the camera so
Of
that the
course.
people at home watching feel like you're singing to them. Because if this camera's on and you're looking over there, people watching are going to be like, who's she looking at? Whereas you
Yeah.
actually feel like, as an audience member, that they're singing to you if you really look into the cameras and play to the cameras. And one thing I find as well when I'm singing, I really try and invest in what I'm singing, or what I'm singing about, the actual song and the words. And I really, yeah, I kind of zone out. It's weird. Like, I totally don't know who I am, where I am. I'm just like totally in the moment every time I'm singing. And yeah, I absolutely loved being on Glortira and the Eurosong. You've mentioned both of them. Oh, I just loved it. If I could have done that every day for the rest of my life, I would have been like, great, amazing.
Happy days. And it is. And obviously, you've great songs out at the moment, and some catchy songs, really catchy songs with the chorus. The one that stands out the most to me, I have to say, that I listen to, it's in the country list on my Spotify, which is listened to most days whenever I get a chance, is Climb That Mountain High. And I have to say,
Yeah, mine
it
mountain.
is tops. And I want to ask you
Oh,
a
thanks
little
so
bit
much.
of. You're very welcome. And basically about that song, I love asking musicians this question, because it kind of plays. I just see you see loads of songs coming out constantly, 24/7 from different musicians, the whole lot, and some of the songs have mad names. And what is the kind of meaning behind this song, "Climb the Mountain High," for the listeners at home?
Okay, well, firstly, it was written by Reba McEntire. So she's a famous country singer. Reba, you've probably heard of her.
Yeah, I
She's
have.
amazing. And so she wrote this song, and it was recorded years and years and years ago. And I found it and I said, right, I love that. I need to cover that song. And no one had ever covered it before. And that's another reason why I liked it, because you'll get a song that's covered 20 times over by different singers, and then the problem is you kind of get put on the pile of 20, and they're like, which version will we play today? And they're probably going to play Reba's. Whereas the fact that there was only Reba's version and now there's only mine, there's only two versions to choose from. So it wasn't
Of
a very
course.
well known song, and the reason like uh, it drew me in because first it was lovely and lively.
Yeah.
I loved the tonality of the piece. It's kind of like a minor, and it reminds me a bit of Past the Point Rescue, and I liked that. And I loved the words. I feel like this song is about kind of like reaching for what you want, and getting over a hurdle. Like, I don't think it's literally about climbing an actual mountain. I feel like
Yeah.
that's a metaphor for reaching
Your
your
goals.
dreams, and maybe leaving something behind that wasn't adding value to you or whatever. And that's why I think that's another thing that drew me to the song. So that's kind of what it's about. Well, I that's what I believe it's about.
Yeah.
Listening to the lyrics anyway. That's what I believe it's about: reaching your dreams and following in that, and keep going. Like, yeah,
Of course. And that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? It's all about kind of keep going and following the dreams, especially these days and things like that there. And I think that's why I knew that's kind of I got the adjust to that when I was listening to it. That's what it was aiming at, you know what I mean? But I wanted to hear it from yourself, you know what I mean? What your opinion of what the song was meant, because you hear obviously some music coming out and things like that, and it is very meaningful. Like, there's a meaning behind it, you know what I mean? And what makes a great song, well, personally, this is my opinion now, what makes a great song is if someone's able to relate to the song. And I think that's what
absolutely.
plays a huge factor in it, you know what I mean, in the music business. And then Rachel, obviously, there's going to obviously you've, as I said already, you're in a couple of tours and things like that. There, out of all the places you've played so far, around Ireland, across the world, or wherever you've played, where is the best night that you played? The best venue?
The best mic
No, the best venue,
or the
like the
best
place.
the best venue.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, that's really hard. I mean, I performed in some amazing places. I think like one highlight for me was probably when I performed in the Bord Gosh Energy Theatre in Dublin. That was really
that's a
cool.
big one.
Like, it's a massive theatre. Yeah, massive. And I was out there like kind of I was actually doing an opera for that, and I had a role, and I got pushed out on this like kind of like massive rock, and I was standing on the rock, and then I had to sing
Yeah,
my solo. So that was cool. That was a cool venue. Where else have I mean, I sang in the Wales Millennium Centre as well, which is a huge venue again. So that was probably another amazing venue that I've sang in as well. But yeah, God, it's so funny. Like, I nearly forget half the things I've done. I feel like I need to like write them down, like all the things I've
yeah,
done and all the places I've performed in, because
I love it.
so many amazing. I'm really lucky. I've had so many amazing moments and opportunities so far in my life, in my
Yeah,
career. So I do feel very lucky, and I hope that continues.
of course, and I can't see why it will not continue. To be honest with you, you know what I mean? Because it's top, and uh, bringing you on to another kind of meaningful kind of thing. Obviously, being in the line of business that you're in, can be very challenging, and it's obviously when the pandemic hit. Now, I'm not going to even mention the word because I can't, because every time I mention the word now in the podcast, I have to pay a fiver into the staff jar, so I can't mention it. But in and around that time, obviously, it was very difficult for obviously everyone across the world in all kind of different job sectors and things like that. But musicians got a big blow, and because to be taken away from that, as I read a lovely article, and I think he was so brave for coming forward and saying it out to the public about Nathan Carter that time during the lockdown, how it affected Nathan. And because he's always on the road, and a bit like yourself, because you're always on the go, and I can see by your Instagram that you're always either at weddings and stuff like that, they're singing your heart out. How did it kind of affect you? Obviously, I know you're only back from Wales, as you said earlier on, but kind of that must obviously be difficult that you had to wait a year to kind of kickstart. You know what I mean? Into the gigs.
Yeah, yeah, it was really hard. Like, I suppose like 2018 was a really hard year for me. My mum got sick. She had cancer, so I was kind
Sorry to
of
hear.
looking after her and my house. So that was kind of like a whole year, and then she was in recovery for the like most of 2019. So I moved home then back to Ireland, and it wasn't until like then, I think, wasn't 2020. It feels like so long ago now, but that's when that all
Yeah,
happened and we all kind of shut down. So it was kind of like a tough few years in my personal life, and then my career then was kind of like I was kind of getting opera contracts and different things, and I was still doing all my gigs, like my pub gigs and my weddings. And then obviously the pandemic came and just like everything went, and I was like, oh my god, what? Like, and
yeah,
I actually don't think, like, I knew how much music meant to me and how much my singing meant to me, but it really hit me so hard when the pandemic happened. I was like, whoa, like, in one sense, because it had been a tough few years, the break was nice, but not for that length of time. Like,
yeah,
I missed singing for people so much. Like, I didn't realize how much I needed to express myself through my singing and for people. You know, performing for people.
yeah.
I just missed it so much. I can't even put it into words. Yeah, it was really difficult time. In Yeah, for all musicians, I suppose, as well. But that's when I actually kind of sat down and was like, you know what? I was still singing country at the time, like I was still doing gigs, and I was doing the classical side of things as well. And I was
Yeah,
like, you know what? I really want to release something. Because I grew up singing country music and Irish folk, but I was classically trained as well. So I kind of grew up with the three genres. Um, and I was like, you know what, I really want to release something in the country. And I did that in 2021. So that was only last year when I released my first single. And it was kind of like throughout lockdown that I started to kind of re-immerse myself again properly in the country music. And yeah, that's when I decided to do that. So lockdown it was horrible, but it was a good thing in one sense, because it kind of brought me back to my roots of country music, and it got my thinking cap on of releasing something, and I have
yeah.
done. And since then, like, loads of other opportunities came my way, and I'm really grateful, and I'm absolutely loving it. Like, I'm really glad I released a country single. Yeah, really glad that that's the route I've gone, because I missed
Oh,
it. Like, I love the classical as well, but and people say to me, which do you prefer? And I can't say which I
you,
prefer. You know, like, I love them both, but they're two totally different. You can't even. They're so different, like totally different things.
yeah. And look, we're delighted that you released a country single, so we are, because you know what I mean. We have a new country song out, so happy days. And classical, yeah. I know personally I wouldn't know much about classical music in one aspect. What is, like, as you said, you're brought up kind of around three genres of different types of music, and then things like that. There, what is the difference between? Now, obviously, I know, like, kind of opera, isn't it? Like, you go to, like, you have to extend on and your O's and stuff like that. There is that opera, and then country is just basically a good jive song.
So, as a singer, classical and country are very different. So classical, you use a certain positioning in your voice. It's called your head voice. And then
Right.
for country music, you'd more so use your chest voice. So they're two totally different types of voices. Then in terms of opera, you'd be on stage with, say, a full orchestra. So there could be like 120 instruments. There's no microphones, and usually you're playing a character. So, like, say there's some operas like with the story of Cinderella, so you could be playing Cinderella, and but you're singing in maybe Italian, and the whole show, it's like a show, it's like a musical, but it's operatic. And
Yeah.
then country is obviously totally different again. You're either singing for a crowd that are dancing, jiving, waltzing, foxtrot, whatever that is, or you're singing for concerts but you're singing country songs. So you're not playing a character, you're yourself singing. Whereas in opera, you're usually playing a character. So it's yeah, they're just very different, like really different things, and they both bring out a different side of me. You know, like a And it's hard because when, as a musician as well and as a singer, people like to put you in a box and say you can't be this and be that. But I like to try and break that mold if I can.
Exactly, sure. Why not? As you can be anything you want to be. And a big kind of question. No, I love asking this question. I really do, because no matter what type of business, especially in the media kind of business and stuff like that, our singing business, the whole lot, acting, everything in the arts, basically, there's always bloopers. There's always mistakes
Mm.
and stuff like that. There may be recording and messing up of a lyric, a guitar out of tune or something like that. There, has there any funny stories that has stood with you over the years in your career that have said, well, that's funny. I'll look back in that in a year's time and actually laugh my head off at it.
I mean, you're so right. Like, we're only human, so there's bound to be
Exactly.
mistakes. Like, you can't be perfect. But then sometimes, people going to watch you do expect perfection, but it doesn't always happen. I'm trying to think now. So I did a concert recently. Now, to be honest, I'm too honest. I actually told the audience what was going on. So basically, there's a thing called in ears that you wear. So they're basically, if you're playing with a band, you have a little pack on you clip the pack on, and you put in the in ears. They're like little headphones. So the in ears are in, and basically it means that you can hear the whole band and yourself in your in ears, but you can change the volume, so you could turn yourself up a bit, because usually the speakers are in front of you and they're going. So if the speakers are here and the sound is going out, you're behind them, so you can't really hear yourself. So the in ears help you to hear yourself, singing.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I walked on stage and we had a sound check that day, and my in ears were working perfect, great, whatever. Anyway, whatever happened, I seemed to have knocked something in the in ears. So I walked on stage and I was like, woo! And it was the first song, and they announced me on, and I was like getting ready, and I was like, so I started singing, and I was like, I can't hear anything. Like, all I could hear was the band in my ears, like literally drowned, like they were deafening me in my ears. I couldn't hear my voice at all,
Yeah.
and then the speakers obviously were out front. I literally couldn't hear myself singing. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even know if I'm in tune. Like, I was like, so I sang the first song. And then
Yeah.
I kind of said hello to the audience, and I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I have to take out these in ears. I was like, and I have to get someone to check the pack, because I said, I'm after pressing a button on these and I literally can't hear anything. I said, I just sang that song completely deaf. Like, couldn't hear myself, don't know if I sang it in tune or anything. And I told the audience this, so they were all laughing. Like, and I
Yeah.
think probably because I told them, they thought it was like, they were like, Jesus, because they don't realize the things that I suppose that musicians maybe or singers might go through. Like, but I just was too honest, and I just told them, because I was like, and but actually loads of people said to me after, oh my God, when you said that, it just like put us all at ease, because it made us feel like you were a normal human. You weren't just like
Yeah.
up there
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
robotics doing it. But yeah, that was one thing that happened to me quite recently, actually. Oh,
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I do. And look, as I, no matter, as that's why I asked that question. You always ask that question to. I've asked that question to plenty of people. You know what I mean? And I think it's great gas, because you hear so many fun, like good stories, like, you know what I mean, of the funny moments. And as you say, as you said yourself, and things like that. There, that's what the audience sometimes kind of look for. You know what I mean? That's what the audience want, is obviously them kind of mistakes and things like that. There, because at the end of the day, you're all human. At the end of the day, you know what I mean, right? You may be on TV the whole lot, and you may be everywhere, and you're famous. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're still human. You say you kind of still have feelings. You still feel the way they do down there on the ground. You know what I mean? It's just at the end of the day, you just, as I said, it's like football players and stuff. And you see football players with singers. It's, you got your hobby, and you turned it into your career. And obviously that's great. That's a
absolutely.
great thing. And like, because when you're getting paid to do stuff you love, not many people get to experience that. Get actually getting paid for something they enjoy doing. You know what I mean? Or they're
No,
stuck in
and
an
we're
office job and
very
stuff.
lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
know. I know. Very lucky. Yeah.
It's mad. And I want to take you on to this next question because I was doing obviously my homework. I was doing my research last night and stuff like that. There, I was like, right, well, I know she's a singer. I know she did this. I know she got a degree. The whole lot. Had my bullet points, and then obviously something kind of stuck out in your bio and things like that there on Wikipedia, and it was that you're also a fashion stylist.
Yeah. So, um, I don't know. It must be because I'm kind of love it. I love the arts. I always loved music. I always loved dance, and I always loved clothes. Like growing up as a child, I was obsessed with what outfits I would put on. Like my mum, bless her, like we used to go shopping, and I'd be picking out all my outfits and making sure everything was really nice and really matching and very, on trend. Um, so it got me really into kind of fashion and style, and I decided then it was actually during lockdown because I suppose everything was kind of at a standstill. So I was like, I really want to do a course in this, just so that I could maybe help other people. So because I was
Of
like, I
course.
kind of know how to dress myself, you have to figure out loads of different things like your shape. So what's going to suit your shape the best and accentuate the nice bits and maybe hide the bits you don't like or whatever. And then you have to think about like your eye color and your hair color and your skin color and what colors will suit that and what's going to make you look the best and whatnot. So I was like, I kind of knew this about myself. So I was like, I'd love to be able to learn how I could help other people.
Yeah.
So I did a course online during lockdown, and it was like a fashion styling and personal shopping course. So technically, like I'm certified to style people, and I've learned all about the different body shapes and what styles suit different body shapes and all that kind of thing. Now the only thing is, I wanted to try and get into it, but I'm so busy with
It's
my
hard.
music work that I don't have time to style other people, so I just style myself. So that's why I post a lot of things like regarding fashion, and like I post a lot of music content, obviously, but I post a lot of fashion
Yeah.
content as well. Because I get so many messages being like, "Where did you get this? Where did you get that?" So I just post up my outfits and tag the people and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
another kind of thing I love to do. It's kind of like a hobby. Like when I'm getting ready for to go anywhere, like to go out or to go to a gig, I would spend hours on my hair, my makeup, putting my outfit together, and it literally feels like therapy. Like some people would hate that, like they'd nearly get stressed, whereas I love it. It feels so
Yeah.
relaxing. Yeah, so it's nearly like, yeah,
That's the actually the next question I was going to ask you. So was because I was going to say because obviously you're so into fashion, you can see that by your Instagram and things like that there, and you're absolutely stunning, and the whole lot, and how like that's what question I was going to ask. I'd say it takes you ages to get ready for like a gig. I'd say like the people to be waiting for you, like near, come on, will you hurry up? Like you know what I mean? You're on stage now in the next 10 minutes. You're only getting your hair done. What? Like how's
yeah, it does
that?
take
I'd
me
say
long,
it's
but I'm
mad.
lucky because I do it all myself. Yeah, I do it
Yeah,
all myself. Like my mum's a hairdresser, but I always do my own hair,
yeah,
and I love doing makeup as well. That's another thing. It's another side thing I wanted to do because I think as well as a performer, like you don't have like when you're on telly, you have someone doing your hair and someone doing your makeup. But
of course.
like for Glortira, I had someone doing that, and for Eurosong when I was on the Late Late, I also had someone doing that as well. But when you're doing your own gigs, you don't have people to do it, so you kind of have to learn, I suppose, to do it yourself. And because you have to present yourself, like
You
um,
do.
when you're in the spotlight, I feel like looking the part is a big thing as well. So I like to be as glam as possible, and I love being glam. I love the glam life. So I'm happy to do that.
We'll have to put that up in the hashtag glam life. The main
Yeah,
speech, the main quote from Rachel on Ryan's Real Irish podcast: "Living the glam life."
yeah,
And Rachel, obviously, we're coming off near enough to the end, so we are. Because you're busy schedule and stuff like that there, and I've been up from 6 o'clock this morning getting ready.
Oh,
Because I had to do my hair today too, Rach. Look, I had to fix my hair today too. So that took me about 3 hours.
that's lovely.
Thank you. Uh, what kind of advice are kind of wise words, are words of wisdom, we should say, would you offer to younger musicians or younger people kind of saying that once were like yourself, not knowing what to do after the leaving cert? I were kind of like, well, I want to go into singing. I want to be a country singer. I want to be a pop singer. I want to be an actor, whatever. What advice would you give to them to say, look, put your head down, just go for it?
Yeah, well, that's one thing I would definitely say is you have to work hard. Like, you can't really, you know, you can't expect everything to just kind of come to you. No matter how talented you are, you have to put the work in. So I would like social media is really good for them kind of things. Like, if you're good at putting up the content, like it will get you more views, more followers,
Of
more work,
course.
but you have to put in and put the time and the effort into being consistent with stuff like that. Like, I mean, if you kind of go off your Instagram for like 2 months, your followers then feel disconnected from you. So you kind of have to
Yeah.
try and keep them up to date with different things that are going on. Um, and I suppose like everyone's going to have opinions, of you and what you do. And some people might like say in my singing, for example, some people might love my voice and some people might not like my voice, or
Yeah.
some people might not like the music I'm bringing out, or some people might love the type of music I'm bringing out. And you're never going to suit everyone, so you just have to stay true.
Of
What I
course.
would say is stay true to yourself. Ever don't ever do anything that you don't want to do. Because people will advise you, and that's totally
Yeah.
fine. It's great, and you take the advice that you feel is the best relating to you, and kind of push aside the stuff that you don't really feel is relating to you.
Yeah.
Because if you don't stay true to yourself, you're going to end up a totally lost artist. You know what I mean? So you have to stay true to yourself and what you want to do and what you love, and it will work out. If you stay true to yourself. Whereas if you veer off the path to something that you don't, your heart isn't in, people will
Yeah.
know. Like, they will know. So I would just say work hard and stay true to yourself. They would be my two big things.
I'm here nearly in tears. Where's my producer? I needed a couple of tissues. So I'm going to start crying. There were nice words of wisdom. I just used a podcast hoodie there
Thanks.
to wipe away the tears. But yeah, no, and I can back you up 100% with literally what you said. Sure, look, as what's the words Taylor Swift once said, the haters gonna hate, hate, hate. But I'm gonna just shake it, shake it, shake it, or something like that. See, there we go. You see a bit of rhyming. I think I'm going into the music business
Yeah,
myself. Yeah, you'll see Ryan
yeah.
Drillars podcast
I'm
taking out a new album. But of course, and it's about just kind of working hard. Obviously, things don't come easy to you, and it's going to be a challenge. You're going to see. There's even here with the podcast, and that's the only kind of you give a music point of view, and I'm just giving you like the listeners yourselves like a point of view from the podcast and stuff. Podcast is tricky enough and stuff like that. There's days that you just feel like, here I'm throwing in the towel, I'm giving up on it. You know what I mean? Maybe not getting guests on
Yeah.
and things like that. There, it can be tough, but getting knocked back from companies and all. But you kind of have to get on with it, and follow your dreams. And Rachel, of course, as we can see with all your classic songs out, and all your big achievements so far in life, that you're doing it. You're walking proof of that, of living the dream and following your dreams. And then Rachel, your last and final question. Now, this is a big question. What is your
Okay, I'm ready.
final goals? Like, what would you be your biggest goals you'd want to achieve in your career over the next? Say, we'll say, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years in your career?
Okay, in the next 10 years. Um, so I have to be realistic. I mean, I don't think I'd like to be, well, I don't know really, but
Did I
I
put you on the
definitely
spot?
want my name to be. No, no, you didn't. It's
Yeah.
okay. I know what I want. I know I want. Like,
Yeah,
I would love to. I would love to leave a legacy behind me when I
of
leave this
course.
earth. I would love my name to be known, especially in Ireland. I'm very proud to be from Ireland. I'm a very proud Irish girl, and I would love to be known in my country for what I do and for my singing. So I would love to be singing in all the top venues around Ireland. I mean, I have been lucky enough to sing in them already, but it was kind of more like small, like solo parts, in
Yeah,
shows. Whereas I'd love to be like the headline act of the show in these massive theaters. So that would be like an aim, and to fill them, to fill out massive
of
venues.
course.
Like that's my it's my aim, but it's like my dream at the same time. Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah.
Like I hope it's reachable, But I suppose I'll just keep working hard, keep putting myself out there, and hope that it happens. But that is kind of the aim. Yeah, I would love to be filling out all the top venues in Ireland and maybe the UK, and yeah, and doing what I love. I just want to perform for people. I want to sing for people, and yeah.
Well, Rachel, you know one thing. I can say it to you now. I can see it happening. I really can, and I'm not just saying that because you come onto the podcast. I can see talent from a mile off, and you know what? You know what?
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna put it down to this. It's obviously a lot to do with your amazing voice and stuff like that there, but the reason really why it's going to happen is because of your personality, because you're such kind of you've a bright character about you that attracts audience to you, and basically that's what's good. I know you're going to be great to your followers and stuff, which you already are, and the people that do follow you and support you in your career and stuff like that, that you are really good to them and things like that. But you're going to go far, and I can tell you that now. I can just see it. I can see a few years time, 3 arena, and it'll be Rachel
Thanks
Goode.
very much. Hope fingers crossed.
So
Fingers
well,
crossed.
fingers crossed. And Rachel, from all the staff here at Ryan's Real Irish Podcast, they want to say a huge thank you from the whole team: Keith, Saoirse, Danny, Kaylee, and Dervla. Jeez, nearly forgot them. Nearly in trouble there. And I also want to say, I, I also want to say a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, from me, Percy, for taking your time out to join me here on my podcast, on Ryan's Real Irish Podcast, for an interview to talk about your amazing career. It was lovely chatting to you. You're an absolute star. I wish you all the very best of luck and success. And as to say, we'll give you a little wise message, a bit of hope and positivity to follow you through on your amazing career. May the road rise to meet you, and a smile always greet you, and a friendship be always true and strong. But as the sun sets in the west, I wish you all the best, and please God we meet again someday. And I want to say a huge thank you.
I know that
And
song.
yeah, you know that what? You know that song? You know that song? You know that song?
Too.
Great song.
What is it? May the road rise
Meet
you.
you,
May the
a
smile
smile
be
always greet
true.
you.
Oh, gorgeous song.
Great
Yeah,
song. And the
that is
whole
a
lot.
great song.
And you're an absolute. You know what? You inspire so many people, and I know that there's going to be so many young women, especially young women, that look up to you, obviously with your fashion and your outstanding voice and career. That's going to say, "I want to be like Rachel Goode," and I just know that
Thank
day
you.
is going to come. So I wish you all the best in both your career and in life in general and the whole lot. And you deserve everything you deserve the very best because you're so sound. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. And likewise, I wish you all the best as well.
I appreciate that, so I appreciate that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the last time on Ryan's Real Irish Podcast, it's the one, it's the only, it's the Galway girl, Miss Rachel Goode.